We met in my last year of university when I was hanging out with friends. Sarah was celebrating her 21st birthday when I met her at a local club in Nashville. I literally bumped into Sarah as I walked past the table, knocking my drink into her lap. After a few awkward moments, I apologized and we talked while I helped her clean up the mess. Some call it love at first sight, but I think there was a unique chemistry between us that drew us like a magnet. From that night we met and never parted. A year later we got married and started our life together. My name is Jonathan Parks, my friends call me Johnny. I have a degree in accounting and became a certified public accountant with a large accounting firm in Atlanta where Sarah and I settled near our family. After working and gaining experience at a large accounting firm, I started my own firm. Sarah, who has a degree in business administration, supported me for the first 2 years until she became pregnant with our wonderful daughter, Angel. Sarah and I had a fabulous relationship. We were madly in love and spent all our time together. When Angel came into our lives, we extended our love to our wonderful daughter. For the next 10 years, we lived a typical family life. I worked hard to develop the business while Sarah took care of the house and raised our daughter. Sexually, we were happy and made love at least 3 times a week. I say we loved each other, and that's exactly what it was. Love. Our feelings for each other were deep and sensual. We never experimented or had hard sex because we respected each other and never wanted to do anything like that. Sarah liked having me at her feet and I liked giving it to her, but she wasn't a big fan of below-the-belt pleasure and only did it on special occasions. Probably less than 10 times during our marriage. I never pressured her because I was happy with our life and enjoyed our relationship. What I loved about Sarah was how attentive she was, always. From the day we said our vows, she kissed or hugged me, held my hand, or didn't let go of me every time we were together. The intimacy in our marriage was incredible, and I enjoyed every second of our intimacy. Our friends always laughed at us and said that it wouldn't last forever, but after 10 years of this affection, they finally realized that we were a special couple. When Angel was 10 years old, Sarah said she wanted to go back to work. Now that Angel had a routine and was home from school at 3:30 p.m. every day, Sarah explained that she didn't want to sit at home every day, but wanted to get back into the real world. After many hours of discussion, we agreed and came up with a plan that would ensure that Angel would continue to receive the attention that the 10-year-old girl needed. Sarah found a job as a personal assistant to William Aston, a lawyer who was 10 years older than her. The hours were good and Sarah enjoyed taking on serious responsibilities, which was good for her confidence. She was no longer a housewife, but a businesswoman and mother. I saw how happy she was with her work and supported her. She could be home by 4 a.m. every day and was always there for Angel. Over time, our family became stronger. We had a comfortable life, living in an upscale apartment complex with country club memberships. Because we had no financial problems, we were able to save enough for Angel college and retirement. We lived a blessed life because we had our health, money, and happiness without worrying about it. As you can imagine, sex life changes after 10 years of marriage, and in most marriages, it slows down, and ours was no different. We went from making love 3-4 times a week to making love only 2 times a week, usually on Friday and Saturday evenings. Yes, we became predictable, but we still loved each other and enjoyed our closeness. Sarah never stopped being attentive and always showed me her love over the years. I enjoyed the attention and love, and the intimacy we shared was every bit as important to me as our lovemaking. When she kissed and hugged me for no reason, just loving me, it was overwhelming, and for me, it was the best part of our marriage. I loved her back. But Sarah always made sure I knew how much she loved me. Angel joined the math club and stayed after school, returning home around 5 p.m. Around the same time, Sarah started working late twice a week, which worked out well because Angel now came home at the same time as me. We never wanted to leave her home alone at that age and made sure our schedules worked together. William, Sarah's boss, has been promoted to senior partner in his father-in-law's firm. When he got promoted, Sarah had to work a few extra hours, 2 evenings a week. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, she was home by 7 p.m., and I made sure dinner was ready when she got home after a hard day at work. Except for those 2 nights a week, everything in our marriage remained the same. My business was thriving, and I was earning a good income. The company had grown to 45 employees, and I had my hands full growing the business. We have become a well-known and respected accounting firm that has been the target of acquisitions or mergers with some of the larger firms in the area. Angel was 15 years old and began to think about colleges and her future. Sarah worked for William and was as attractive as the day we met. The years have been good for Sarah as she has maintained her slim figure, highlighted by her long, sexy legs and round butt. She had a pretty face, but she never seemed anything other than professional and conservative. We both led a lifestyle that others might call boring. We spent most of our time together at home, going to the movies or to a family event with our daughter, and were always together as a family, never going anywhere without each other. William, her boss, called me and told me that Sarah would be honored at a banquet next month and that Angel and I had been invited. I proudly told Angel that Mom would receive an award for excellence in her profession. Since the award was a surprise, they invited us. Typically, these meetings were for staff only, and we were asked to keep it a secret until the awards ceremony. Over the last 5 years since Sarah started working for William, she had done an excellent job, which seemed to make her happier at home and improve her self-esteem. I know she worked hard and was loved in the company, and now hearing about the award made Angel and I proud. Sarah told us about an upcoming business meeting at the Ritz-Carlton downtown and how she would have to work late and prepare a presentation for the entire company. She was looking forward to the presentation and spent many hours on it in the weeks leading up to the event. At the time, she didn't know we were invited or even about her award, and Angel and I kept the secret. We could hardly wait for this event and Sarah's award. I took Angel shopping for a new dress and bought a new suit to make sure Sarah would make her family proud at the award ceremony. Sarah wore a knee-length dress with a cutout back that looked professional but still showed off her beautiful curves. She was an attractive and desirable woman at the tender age of 37. Before the limo picked her up, Angel and I hugged and wished her luck with her presentation that evening. We had 2 hours to get ready and we got dressed on time and headed out to be at the event about 30 minutes before Sarah's talk. One of the hosts greeted us and seated us at a table in the center of the room with a beautiful view of the stage. Angel and I were treated special, and everyone told us how much they loved Sarah and how glad they were to meet us. We felt so welcome and happy to be with our wife and mother. The lights in the hall dimmed as they began their performance on stage. The spotlights came on as the first speaker introduced the firm's founder, the CEO, and then William, the senior partner. William gave a short speech about the company's success and then introduced Sarah, who was to share some of the successes of the past year. Sarah took the stage looking as beautiful as ever, and I could see how proud Angel was when she saw her mother begin her performance. In a professional and trained voice, Sarah spoke about the company's accomplishments over the past year, their successes, and future projects they were working on. She spoke for about 10 minutes, and when she finished, she handed the stage back to William. But before she left, Williams took her hands and pulled her closer to him while he spoke. Ladies and gentlemen, before Sarah leaves the stage, I would like to say a few words. Sarah and I have worked closely together for the past 5 years, and Sarah has become an integral part of our organization and my work life. I am convinced that without her, we would not have achieved the successes that she described today. I am honored to honor Sarah tonight with our highest honor, the Chairman's Club Award. This award is given only to employees who go far beyond the call of duty and are recognized for their dedication to the company. She received a large plaque and an envelope containing a $10,000 reward. With tears in her eyes, she accepted the check, hugged William, turned to the audience, and thanked everyone. Angel and I had tears in our eyes because we were both so proud of Sarah. All the people at the table hugged me, and it was one of our happiest evenings. We were both bursting with pride and couldn't stop smiling. The lights came on, and it was time for a drink. I took the glass and told Angel I'd be right back, heading towards one of the bars at the far end of the room. The lines for drinks were long, and I saw the empty bar next to the stage and went over to get a double jack and a soft drink for Angel. Feeling happy and generous, I smiled and tossed $5 into the tip jar, picked up my drinks and turned to go back to my table. Then my world collapsed. On the way back, something caught my attention, and I turned around to see what it was. Behind the curtains, protected from prying eyes, the couple hugged and kissed. I thought it was strange and inappropriate for such an event, but suddenly, I recognized the dress. It was the same dress Sarah was wearing. I turned around again and froze in place. The couple I was looking at were engaged in a heartfelt kiss. The woman had her arms wrapped around the man's neck, and the man's hand was caressing her buttocks unhindered. The way they hugged made me realize that this was not the first time they had shared such intimacy. The couple obviously felt safe behind the curtain and allowed themselves intimate feelings. Watching this happen, I felt as if I was having an out-of-body experience. I stood frozen, with 2 glasses in my hands and my mouth open, and watched the two until they finally separated and confirmed to me that it was indeed the love of my life who was very romantically kissing her boss, William. At that moment, I dropped one of the drinks, which attracted the attention of the lovers. When she saw the men staring at them, I saw a shocked expression on her face. At that moment, I felt that I was returning to my body and my feelings were returning to me. I was speechless, feeling my stomach drop to the floor, and a sudden deep pain pierced my heart. Not knowing what to do, I simply turned around and walked back to my table with the remaining drink in my hand. At the same time, Sarah ran after me and was able to catch up with me before I even got to our table. "Honey, I just found out that you and Angel are here for the awards ceremony." "Thanks for coming, honey. What you just saw wasn't what it looked like, honey. We can talk later, okay?" I simply nodded and headed towards our table. Sarah came up and everyone congratulated her. Angel hugged and kissed her tightly and was very happy for her mother. I was shocked and just sat quietly with a sad expression on my face, not saying a word. Sarah said she had a few more things to do and would join us again soon. Angel noticed the change in my attitude and tried to ask me what was wrong. I just shook my head and didn't say anything else for the rest of the evening. It was clear that I was not myself and was not at all happy to be around everyone around me. I know what I saw, and it was much more than a friendly kiss. In fact, Sarah and I haven't kissed like that in years. Looking back, it had been over 5 years since we kissed so passionately. My brain started to work as I thought about those years and how things had changed. I knew there would be trouble, but at that moment I wasn't exactly sure what it was. We drove home while Angel and Sarah talked about the celebration and how proud Angel was of her mother. Shocked by what I saw, I said nothing and simply drove home, lost in my own thoughts. Both girls noticed my silence and tried to talk to me, but I stubbornly remained silent. Sarah knew it was wrong and she tried to make up for it by being sweet and especially affectionate, but I didn't want to hear about it. I tried to hide my feelings from Angel, but being the smart girl she is, she knew something was bothering me and was smart enough to leave me to my own devices. Before Angel went to bed, she whispered in my ear, "Dad, if you want to talk, I'm here for you, okay?" Angel hugged me and kissed me before going to bed. I went straight to bed without saying a word, and a few minutes later, I heard Sarah enter the room. "Johnny, are you okay, baby?" After a full minute of silence, she asked, "Darling, do you want to talk to me?" I could tell from her voice that she was nervous. When she climbed into bed and tried to hug me, I turned my back to her. "Look, I know what it looked like and I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say, but it wasn't what it looked like. Please, talk to me." Without saying a word, I lay there in silence as anger began to displace the state of shock I was in. I didn't say another word because I had nothing to say to this woman and I knew that anything I said would be hurtful and wouldn't solve anything. She tried to hug me, but I ignored her and had the worst dream of my life. The next morning was Saturday, and I knew it was going to be a long day when I opened my eyes and sunlight streamed through the window. I lay there, remembering the scene I had witnessed and trying to make sense of the situation. I got out of bed, went to the bathroom, washed my face, and brushed my teeth. When I returned to the bedroom, Sarah was sitting on the bed, watching me and trying to act normal. "Good morning, honey. Did you sleep well?" she asked as if nothing had happened. I ignored her question, put on jeans and a t-shirt, and looked at her before leaving the bedroom. I turned to her with a hateful look in my eyes, speaking for the first time since the banquet. "How long?" When she didn't answer and just looked at her hands, I left her and went to have breakfast and think for a while. I was out of my mind. I know things will change for us, and I can't wait to hear what she has to tell me about her affair. She knows she has to tell me the truth because she knows if she lies, I'll find out. Sarah and I were very close, and she never gave me any reason to believe that she wanted another man. I haven't noticed any change in our intimacy, and she still hugs and kisses me all the time. How can she act like this when she's having an affair? I mean, if she's with him, how can she show me all this love? Could the woman I love really be having an affair with William? Oh my God, this is terrible, and I can't believe this happened. William knows he shouldn't show affection outside of his office, but tonight he just had to kiss me. Yes, I enjoyed his kisses and hugs, and it was an exciting evening, so I can understand his enthusiasm. But he knows my rules about showing affection in public and how dangerous it is. Now I have a big problem. How can I explain to Johnny what he saw? He's not stupid, and I know it won't be easy. I remember the first time William and I started this affair. It was a year after I became his assistant, and he was having problems with his wife. He has 6 small children, including twins, which keep his wife very busy and overworked. They were going through hard times, and he started telling me about his problems. We became closer, and I remember helping him through this difficult time, but not without consequences. William was a strong and kind man, and I admired him and wanted to make him happy during this difficult time. Several times I hugged him and told him that everything would be okay and that he just needed to hang in there and love his wife. One day, when I was hugging him, we felt an electric current pass through us and we kissed, which ended in sex on a large sofa in his office. Today, I know that I was selfish and fell into his web. The respect I had as William's personal assistant went to my head. I felt that I was more important than others in the office, and William was always generous with praise and compliments in the workplace. William was set to become CEO in the next few years, and being close to him gave me a false sense of self-worth. I felt emboldened to soothe his feelings when I saw him agitated again that fateful evening. William had just gotten off the phone with his wife after a heated argument, and when I saw how upset he was, I hugged him and told him everything would be okay. We hugged, and then he thanked me and kissed me on the lips. We looked into each other's eyes, and the kiss turned into a 2-hour sex scene in his office. I was fascinated by his power and completely opened up to him. I always felt the need to show my affection in the form of hugs and kisses, and this led to our closeness and togetherness. When it was over, I felt terribly guilty and wanted to tell Johnny about it, but I knew it would mean the end of our marriage. When I got home, I was sure Johnny knew what I had done, but as always, Johnny and Angel just hugged and kissed me and greeted me with the love they always showed when I got home. My heart broke and I felt sick with guilt. At that moment, I realized that I had to remain silent and never mention it again. After all, this evening was a once-in-a-lifetime event that would never happen again. We spoke to William the next day, and we both knew it would never happen again, and that it was just a one-off that we needed to get over. Over the next few months, we worked late into the night, and within a few weeks, I found myself back in William's tender arms. I had no reason to cheat on Johnny because I loved him with all my heart and would never want to hurt him or ruin our marriage. But being with William was something else. He was a big, strong man in whose arms I felt safe. William was not a handsome man and could not compete with my wonderful husband. William was overweight, bald, and did not at all look like a feminine darling. Johnny knew him well and was sure that William did not pose a threat. Johnny, of course, trusted me completely, and so he didn't mind me working with William in the evenings. William was a large man, over 6 feet tall, with big, strong arms and a huge cock. I had never seen such a big cock, and after we did it the first time, I knew I would be lusting after it for the next week. He also did sexual things to me that I had never felt before, and I found myself wanting it more and more. In the beginning, there was no love, no feelings, only sex. But over the years, we grew closer and felt deep affection for each other. As a result, our affair helped William save his marriage. For some reason, spending 2 evenings a week together helped William manage his home life better. Because I felt like I was helping William without putting Johnny at a disadvantage and making everyone happy, I was able to justify myself and absolve myself of any blame. My personal life was great, my boss was happy, and I had a great job and loved my job. When he was promoted, I started working 2 evenings a week. This was the time William and I spent enjoying the afternoon in the privacy of his corner office, which was in a secure location. It was safe, and there was no way we could get caught. After we both realized that this relationship would continue, we agreed to limit our relationship to those 2 evenings and not do anything outside of those few hours a week. For 3 years, we were together twice a week and enjoyed each other both sexually and emotionally. Eventually, we became more than lovers, and the affair became more than just sex. In his office, there was a large leather sofa where we spent time together. Yes, sex with William was good and different from sex with Johnny, and he did things to me that I had never done before. He had a way of making me do even things that I had never allowed before. He managed to excite me so much that I just wanted to please him and give him what I never allowed Johnny. Sex with Johnny was the most amazing and loving, while William did it harder and harder. I had the best of both worlds, and I never wanted it to end. Somehow, and I don't know how, I was able to do this with William and go home without feeling guilty. It was as if I was living a separate life with my boss, and it didn't affect my personal life in any way. Johnny and Angel never lacked my love or attention, because I need a feeling of intimacy with any man I have sex with. I find that in private, I give William the same closeness and attention that I give Johnny. I realize that some men enjoy this level of appreciation and attention, and that it makes women even more desirable. On those special evenings, I became William's work wife, and we both appreciated what we had, although we knew it would never go beyond our 2 meetings a week. Neither of us wanted to hurt our spouses, and so our romance blossomed into a close friendship. Any feelings of guilt I had early on disappeared, and the only feeling I had was one of satisfaction. I felt like I deserved the life I was living. At work, we were always professionals, and no one had any idea what we did. William always talked about his children, and photographs of his family were hung throughout his office. Everyone considered William an excellent father and family man. They thought the same about me and would be shocked by the sexual relationship between us. Every second of every day, except for those few hours a week, I was a faithful wife, as usual, in family mode, to Johnny and Angel. I thought about Johnny, always showed him love and cared for him more than I can explain. I loved him and our family, and made sure they were not harmed by my actions. I foolishly believed that spending a few hours a week with William meant nothing to our families. It was just time spent together and didn't impact our marriage in the same way that dinner with a friend would. Now my relationship with William was out in the open and was sure to harm my marriage, and I realized that my thinking was wrong. This morning, Johnny looked at me deadpan and asked, "How long?" I knew I was in trouble. Johnny was smart and not an idiot. He knew something was going on. How should I answer him? Should I tell him the truth? I can't lose him, and I can't live with him by lying. I do not know what to do. Sobbing into my pillow for the last hour had given me no answers, and I knew I had to tell him the truth and ask him to understand. I know that he loves me and he must forgive me. I looked at the clock and realized that Angel had to be at school for math club by 1 p.m., and I knew it was time to face reality. I drove home to find Sarah sitting on the patio with a cup of coffee, looking out at the lake. Without saying a word, I poured myself a cup, sat down next to her, and asked her the question again. "How long?" After a few minutes of silence, I noticed tears streaming down Sarah's face. What I heard next sent shivers down my spine, and a pain in my stomach that almost made me want to puke, Sarah said in a quiet, tearful voice. 3 years. Evenings when you worked late? And again she said, almost in a whisper, yes. I sat in silence again for a few minutes and then spoke. If I understand correctly, those 2 days each week when you worked late for the last 3 years were the only ones you had sex with, William. Yeah, we've never done this anywhere else, and I have so much to explain when you give me a chance. So, you just told me that you've been having sex with your boss 2 nights a week for the last 3 years. You don't have to be an accountant to know basic arithmetic. You've slept with him over 300 times, and I know you never do it just once, so I'm guessing you did it at least twice in an evening. Sarah, you had sex with this guy over 500 times behind my back. Sarah, do you know any man who could live knowing this? Tears fell from her eyes onto her lap as I continued. You two must have had so much fun laughing at me, your ignorant cuckold. I can only imagine what you said about me, or how he made fun of me by having sex with my wife behind my back. Thank you so much, Sarah. I never thought that you would do something like this to me. I have never been so humiliated and deliberately offended by anyone in my life. I always believed that you loved me. You convinced me that I was your man. I loved you with all my heart. I would die for you. But Sarah, you ruined our marriage and broke my heart. Johnny, it wasn't like that. I interrupted her and told her to shut the hell up. I got up and walked off the porch, and she sat there crying and begging me to stay. On the outside, I kept my cool, but on the inside, I exploded and stormed off to get my emotions under control. The feeling of betrayal was new to me, and I needed time to process my feelings, realize what she said, and what I was going to do. I needed someone to talk to, and the only person I had left was my brother Tony. We were very close as children, but we chose different paths in life. Tony spent 5 years in federal prison for drug trafficking and moved in dangerous circles. By comparison, I was a churchgoer, an accountant who paid a lot of taxes and didn't even have a parking ticket. Tony and I didn't talk very often, but growing up, Tony always turned to me for support. I was with him during his trial and, thanks to my contacts, was able to get his sentence reduced from the mandatory 20 years to 5 years. That morning, I called him. Hello, Tony, it's me, your older brother. Bro, how are you doing? What's new? I have a problem and I need to talk to someone. Do you have time? Of course. What's the matter? Man, this is hard. Sarah cheated on me and I just found out about it. I do not know what to do. I'm all spit on and in pain. I can start drinking, but it doesn't help. So I just need to tell someone. I'm sorry to burden you with this. Oh my God, I love Sarah. And I can't believe she did this. Do you already know with whom and how it happened? I know with whom, but I don't know all the details yet. I want revenge on this son of a bitch. Dude, I'm so angry I want to strangle my wife. Look, I have a lot of friends who have been through this, and I can understand how you feel. You need to let go of your anger. Go to the gym, go for a run, whatever. But you need to calm down. I'll try to help you get through this. You have to face the facts, gather all the information you can, and then decide what to do. Be restrained and try to act as normal as possible, which of course will not be easy. Call me tomorrow and tell me what you found out, and trust me, I can help you. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate your help. I'll call you tomorrow. On the way, I passed a mattress store, and a thought occurred to me. I parked in the parking lot and took the first step. I had no intention of leaving the marriage until Angel went to college, which meant I would be married for the next 2 years. There was no way I was going to sleep with Sarah again, and I'd be damned if I left my bedroom. Everything else will come later. I told the sellers that I would pay full price if they could deliver 2 full-size beds with all the hardware and arrange for assembly on site. I paid an extra $100 to have my current king-size bed taken apart. I paid and we agreed on delivery today at 4 p.m. I texted Angel to let her know I would pick her up, drive to school, and wait in the parking lot. We went to lunch and I gently explained to her that there would be changes in the house in the near future. What happened at dinner last night, Daddy? I know something happened. I'm not stupid. Please don't keep me in the dark. It's not fair. Please, you have always been honest with me. Okay, that's fair, and since it will be difficult, you have a right to know. I caught your mother and her boss kissing backstage. Dad, he was probably just congratulating her. Come on, you can't be that crazy about a kiss. After I came face to face with her, she admitted that they had been having an affair for 3 years. This is something I cannot understand, and this is why our relationship has changed forever. 3 years! Are you going to divorce her, Dad? Not yet. I'm still dealing with this, and we will remain married, but everything will be different, and you must be independent and not take anyone's side. She is your mother and she loves you, and this problem is just between her and me. You have been a blessing to us and a perfect daughter. I don't want your life to change just because your parents made mistakes. But I ask you not to judge us, and just know that we love you more than anything in this world. She cried and said that she understood how much it hurt me. I didn't want her to feel bad, but she was right. She should know what was changing life in our house. Sarah was surprised to see us come home together, and by the look on Angel's face, she knew what I had told her. Angel gave her an angry look and went to her room without saying a word. Did you tell her? She knew something was wrong, and she has a right to know. Everything will change for us, and she needs to understand why. You can explain this to her when she gets over the shock. What do you mean when everything changes? You're not planning on getting a divorce, are you? If I get divorced, it won't be now. I want to see how everything turns out. And besides, I wouldn't do that to Angel. Starting today, things will definitely change. Johnny, you have to let me explain what happened and try to understand. You are my husband and I love you. Well, you voluntarily had sex with William over 500 times behind my back, that's all. Sarah, I don't know what you can say that any self-respecting man could agree with. Do you really think I'm such a weak person? Obviously, you're not serious. You know what breaks my heart is that I will no longer be able to enjoy the intimacy that I used to love and look forward to. I will never go to bed with you again, and I will miss making love with you, but not as much as I miss your tender kisses and hugs. This will cause me great pain. Other changes are inevitable. You broke your marriage vows and our marriage contract. Like you, I will no longer be faithful to you and will look for another relationship. Of course, I've never thought about this before, so it might be a while before I meet women I like. You can continue to date your lover because you will never hear anything from me again. It was as if she had received a blow to the head and physically distanced herself from my remarks. She lost her balance and, shuddering, fell onto the sofa. Sarah obviously did not understand the consequences of her betrayal. Johnny, you shouldn't date other women. This will destroy me and I won't let it happen. I love you. What happened is not at all like that. I know this sounds bad, but let me try to explain. Sarah, 500 times behind my back, and here you are. Suddenly you realize that your dissolute behavior can have consequences. Yes, Sarah, you changed everything. Don't forget that all this happened because of your deceit, lies, and infidelity. At that moment, the doorbell rang just in time. I let the installers in and showed them the bed that was to be dismantled. They got to work. What's going on here? Who are these people? Well, Sarah, since I'm never going to sleep in the same bed with you again, I thought it wouldn't be fair for either of us to move into the spare room, so I bought 2 big beds. Right now, our bed is being dismantled, and new beds will be installed later. If you don't like the mattress, you have 3 months to choose another one. Will we sleep in different beds? Yes. Since we won't be intimate, I definitely don't want you in my bed. I can't believe you're doing all this. Yeah, and I can't believe you slept with your boss 500 times behind my back, so we're even. I watched with a feeling of pain and regret as the men cleaned up the bed we had enjoyed for so many years. Tony, I can't believe what I found out. Sarah has been sleeping with her boss twice a week for the past 3 years. From what I understand, she's been with this guy over 500 times behind my back. I must be the blindest man in the world. She humiliated me in ways I could never imagine, and I don't even know what to do. Who is this guy? Her boss, William Aston. What do you want to happen? I want him to suffer, and I want him to suffer in the worst possible way. This guy slept with my wife for years and sent her to bed with me. He cuckolded me and humiliated me for 3 years, and I can't deal with it. What about Sarah? She's dead to me. I'm going to divorce her when Angel is in college, and before that, I'm going to destroy her. Right now, she will be living a lonely life because I am closing myself off from her. If she tries to divorce me before Angel goes to school, I will ruin her career and expose her depravity to everyone. Come on, I'll take care of Mr. Aston, and you go about your business at home and try to keep everything in order. Tony, I don't want you to get in trouble, so don't do anything that could get you arrested. Do you understand me? Of course, brother, don't worry about it. We'll talk again soon. Next, the weeks at home have been tense. Sarah tried to engage me in conversation, but I only answered her in monosyllables. I could tell she was upset and tried to get me to forgive her, but I was hurt, angry, and adamant. I immersed myself in work, came home late every evening, and was away from home on weekends. Tensions were high and everyone was walking on eggshells expecting me to explode. When I returned home one evening after a long day at work, I found Sarah waiting to talk to me. After all these years of sleeping with the only woman I'd ever loved, I was now sleeping in a bed just a few feet from Sarah's. It was sad, and I wasn't sure how I would manage it for the next 2 years until Angel left for college. After the shower, when I lay down in my bed, Sarah asked, "Johnny, how was your day?" "Okay," I answered dryly. "Johnny, I've been thinking and I want to discuss something with you and understand what you think. I know you don't want anything to do with me, but I love you and I want to try to do better, even if it's just small steps. I was thinking that maybe I should quit my job. We really don't need the extra money, and I can take the time to be home for you. What do you think, baby?" No matter how hard I tried to keep my anger under control, when I heard her speaking kindly to me and trying to take advantage of our closeness, I just became furious. I sat down and spoke in a nasty voice, not paying attention to the stunned expression on her face. "Listen, Sarah, I don't give a damn what you do. Work, don't work, sleep with your boss, find a new guy for sex. It's your life. Do what you want. And don't call me baby or honey or anything other than Johnny. The more I think about it, the more convinced I am that you should keep your job and your 2 sex sessions a week with William, because I will never be with you again." I rolled over to the other side and lay down on the pillow. I heard Sarah begin to sob, realizing how much her betrayal had hurt me. "Johnny, you don't have to say anything, but please just let me talk. I can't tell you how bad I feel and how sorry I am that I did this to you. I want you to know that I never stopped loving you. The pain I caused is incomparable to anything. Not being able to touch you, kiss you, or hug you is killing me. The coldness I feel from you has broken my heart. Yes, I miss you in bed. I can't live without your touch and love. I don't know what to do or how to fix this, but I don't want to lose you. Please know that I am here whenever you are ready to talk or ask anything, and I am ready to tell you everything. Johnny, the tension in the house is toxic, and I'm afraid it's spreading to Angel. She spends more and more time with her friends and doesn't want to be here anymore. I thought that maybe we could consult to find a way to live together without this hatred. I'm not expecting an answer, but think about it. If not for me, then for Angel. I know it's all my fault, but it's not fair to her. She'll be leaving in a few years, but we don't want her to spend those years in a home filled with hate." I sighed and realized that she was right. Angel was going through this nightmare, and it wasn't fair. After a few seconds, to Sarah's complete shock, I answered, "Okay, make an appointment and I'll go. But let me be clear, I'm doing this for Angel, not you." Sarah smiled and felt like she had made some progress. Now her tears were tears of happiness. "Oh, thank you, Johnny. I'll take care of everything." In fact, the next evening, Sarah told me that she had found a therapist and would meet with her alone the next day. She said the couple was scheduled to meet on Friday at 3 p.m. I knew Sarah was right, and if I didn't want to get divorced these 2 years, we had to find a way to live in peace. Angel was very excited when she heard that we were going to counseling and hoped that there would be a way to get the family back. She smiled for the first time in weeks. "Johnny, Angel is so glad you agreed to couples counseling." "You should have seen her smile when I told her," Sarah said that evening when I returned home from work. Every night after work, I would go out to dinner because I didn't want to spend time with Sarah. The problem was that I missed Angel and wanted to find a way to be home with my daughter. I missed her smile, her hugs, and the way she called me Daddy. Sarah went to her individual consultation, and that evening she was completely out of it. When I got home, I found her crying, and I realized it was probably hard to explain to someone how she had cheated on our family for years. Somehow I had no sympathy or compassion for the woman who broke my heart. My brother Tony called me later that week. He explained that he was owed some favors by some former acquaintances who were associated with the cartel. The cartel may be ruthless and cold-blooded killers, but they are true to their duty. The debt they owed Tony was not in cash, but in favors for what he had done for them. He pleaded guilty, served time, and defended 2 cartel leaders. You don't need to know anything, brother, and the less you know, the better. I'll just say this. Soon you will be avenged. Contacting one of his contacts, Tony explained the situation. They understood and told him they would take care of it and let him know when it was done. Tony explained that no one wants to die, but it should be done in a way that he will remember for the rest of his life. Tony told them the man's name, where he worked, and his phone number. That was all they needed. Tony left it in their hands, and he knew it wouldn't be pretty. The target was William Aston's house. A white van was parked across the street from the Aston house, and just a few minutes after William pulled into the garage, a young man knocked on the front door. William survived, but now he had to manage without the help of his fingers. His life changed forever, and he knew why. He never thought his actions could have such consequences, especially from the meek accountant. Of course, he had no proof, but Sarah was the only woman he was with besides his wife. When Sarah told him that Johnny found out and ended their affair, he was heartbroken. He really loved Sarah. Clearly, Sarah and William considered themselves a couple when they were together and shared their love during their short time alone. After their affair became a habit, neither of them believed that their few hours a week could harm anyone. They were just 2 friends spending some time together. Both believed that their spouses had never been disadvantaged in anything. It was only a few hours a week. It was an ideal relationship that gave them excitement and extra love that had been dulled by many years of marriage. Both Sarah and William now saw the consequences of their actions. William will remember the betrayal every minute of every day for the rest of his life. His father-in-law fired William, he required psychiatric and medical treatment, and never played golf again. His life changed in an instant because of his perfect romance. Choices do have consequences. Upon meeting with Doris Winters, Ph.D., the consultant, everything went exactly as I expected. Miss Winters started the conversation. Johnny, Sarah, and I met this week, and she explained everything to me. And I explained to her how everything works in our sessions. I thank you for coming and trying to find your way back. Please be honest in your answers and understand that what is said here stays here. I've heard all sorts of things, and nothing you say shocks me. I say this so you can feel comfortable talking openly to a complete stranger. I nodded and waited to see what this would lead to. Sarah, please tell Johnny what you hope to get out of these sessions. My cheating wife looked at me with tears in her eyes and spoke. Johnny, there is so much I want to tell you. I want to bring our family back together. I want to touch you and love you again. I want to find a way to come back to you and for everything to be the same as it was before. I have to say, her emotions were touching, and I felt like she meant every word. It was hard to watch her pain over the loss of my love, but I controlled myself and sat quietly while she took a handkerchief and wiped eyes. Mr. Parks, what would you like to take away from these sessions? Dr. Winters, I would like to find a way to get the number 500 out of my head. If we can do that, then I think we can get back to some kind of normalcy. I saw Sarah wince and look away when she heard me say 500. Mr. Parks, I don't understand. What does this number mean, and why is it so important that we get it out of your head? So, Doris, can I call you Doris? Let's stick with Dr. Winters for now, okay? Well, Doris, I said in a sarcastic tone, I thought you had a session with Sarah this week, so that number must have shown up. I looked at Sarah and asked, Sarah, did you miss this little detail? Please, Mr. Parks, it's no use. Could you please explain the number 500? Okay. As you know from my background, I'm an accountant and numbers are important to me. What my beloved wife didn't tell you is that Sarah has allowed William to have sex with her over 500 times in the last 3 years. This number is imprinted in my brain, and whenever I see Sarah, it is the first thing that comes to mind. She slept with this guy 500 times behind my back, I said, with anger and tears in my eyes. There was silence for a few minutes until everyone calmed down again. Mr. Parks, I understand your pain, but such expressions are not necessary here. It's offensive and unnecessary. I apologize, and it won't happen again, but it was necessary to express my pain and my point of view. Sarah cried and repeated, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I finally relaxed as my outburst eased my anger. Once again, I would like to apologize for my outburst. To answer your question, I want to find a way to forgive Sarah to the point that we can have a home without hatred and anger. We have a daughter who does not deserve to suffer the consequences of my wife's infidelity. I want to find a way to live at home in peace. Thank you, Mr. Parks. Over the next few weeks, I managed to speak in a friendly tone without venom. Things were going much better at home, not great, but better. Angel was at home more often. We went out to eat, to the cinema, hung out with friends, and tried to be a normal couple. The only problem is that everyone noticed that there was no intimacy between us at all. I never held Sarah's hand, we never kissed, and I never let her hug or touch me. Several friends asked Sarah what was wrong because the lack of affection was the opposite of what it had been like throughout our years of marriage. It was obvious that we were having a hard time, but we kept going. When Sarah heard about William's accident, she was thunderstruck. Although William never said a word about this event, Sarah knew that I wanted revenge and may have been involved in some way. She waited for a reaction. That evening, when she told me how someone had broken into her former boss's house and attacked him, she watched the reaction. She saw a slight smile flash across my face when I said, "Wow, this is something," continued reading the book. "Is that all you can say?" Her tone and comment struck a chord, and I looked up and glared at her. "Oh, I'm so sorry your lover got hurt. Do you want me to send him flowers or should we go see him, honey?" She looked away, and the conversation ended. Sarah knew that I was somehow responsible for this, and that if she cared about William, all the progress we had made would come to an end. Earlier that week, I received a message from Tony with a thumbs-up emoji. This was our last contact for several months, while things cooled down. I wondered if the police would find out about William and Sarah's affair and question me about the attack, but that didn't happen. Police eventually placed the report in the open case file and moved on to other crimes. The culprits or the reason for the attack were never found. As promised, Johnny began dating and hanging out late into the night. After Sarah tried to question him, she realized that she should mind her own business and not cause any problems. Johnny explained that they were husband and wife in name only and were living together for the sake of their daughter. Eventually, they found a way to remain polite to each other, and their home life was outwardly tolerable. Sarah finally realized how much she had hurt her husband, and there was nothing she could do about it. Johnny maintained their life together and the appearance of a family by letting her know that he would inform her family and friends about her affair and make her life hell if she filed for divorce before Angel went to college. Sarah was considered married, but was lonely. She had no one to give her love for which she lived. Hugs, kisses, and love defined her life, and the two men she gave it to, and who gave it to her, were now lost. She continued to work and live a sad life, and knowing that her husband was enjoying himself with another woman made everything even worse. Counseling helped her, but she walked alone because Johnny knew he would never be able to forget the terrible betrayal. She did this to herself. Her vanity, selfishness, and stupidity destroyed the marriage and the man she loved. She found no sympathy from Angel, who loved her mother, but every time Sarah complained about Johnny, Angel reminded her that Sarah had done this to herself. Angel continued to tell her how much her father loved her and how dejected he was when he saw Sarah with another man. Angel never forgave her mother for hurting her father so much, but she still loved Sarah. William was now unemployed and divorced. He lived in a small apartment on a tight budget, giving up almost 70% of his belongings and the house where his wife, Joy, would live for another 10 years until their youngest turned 18. He suffered from depression and could no longer use his hands normally. Ironically, he stopped being with both of the women he loved and had sex with, and ended up lonely and unwanted. Just as his attackers had promised, his stumps reminded him of his affair with Sarah every minute of every day. A year after the divorce, William was hit by a truck. The witness said William simply walked in front of the speeding truck without looking back. It was ruled an accidental death, but everyone close to William knew that he had committed suicide. Sarah understood why he did it, and even thought about putting a similar end to her own life. Sarah and William never spoke again after their affair, and both lived in hell with the consequences of their infidelity and betrayal, in different but equally painful ways. After Angel left for college, Johnny came home with divorce papers. Johnny had previously considered ruining her finances and destroying Sarah, but he eventually relented and split everything equally. Over the past years, he has forgiven her, but the love he once felt is gone forever. Sarah was not shocked by the divorce papers and signed them without protest. She knew that she had destroyed everything and rejected love herself, but somehow she felt relieved that she might be able to start a new life. She was sure that she had learned her lesson and would never cheat again. For Johnny, divorcing the woman he had loved all these years was painful, and he was filled with regret. He wished he could take back all the good things, or at least find a way to forgive Sarah. But no matter how hard he tried, he could never get the number 500 out of his head. They sold the house and divided the share. Johnny moved in with Trisha, a dancer 15 years younger whom he was dating. He wasn't in love. He just wanted to have fun and catch up. Over time, having regained his confidence and happiness, he found in Trisha a woman he could love and cherish. Sarah never lost hope of reconciliation and cried for several weeks when she learned of his marriage. Sarah was never able to forgive herself when she thought about the lives that her selfishness and arrogance had damaged. She dated several men, but never found love. She gained weight, her looks faded, and she became a lonely, depressed shell of her former self. Angel and Sarah were close, but Sarah never heard from Johnny again. She never again experienced the love she had with her wonderful husband and lived her life with the pain she caused to those close to her. Johnny made sure Angel College was funded. Angel became a psychologist with a need to help others. She married a doctor and had a wonderful life. Angel did not follow the path of her mother and remained faithful to her husband. They raised 5 children, and Angel remained close to both Johnny and Sarah. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one.